Guys, here we go.
Hey!
What is this, week 2 of the fall?
In the fall.
In the fall.
In the fall. I was amazed. We asked the question, how many of you have fallen in an embarrassing way? And I was amazed at how many people in the services have actually fallen into a fountain. There were like 50. Is that a big thing?
How do you do that?
Even I've never done that.
Of all the
Never
random
fallen
things that
in-
you could say, though. Like, have you ever fallen? In a fountain.
I just thought of it. I thought, how many of you ever fallen in an embarrassing way? Hands went up. Then how many in a fountain? It's like,
Oh, it's like he
what
sees
have you
me.
people been doing? Yeah.
I don't know where to find a fountain to fall into.
Either of you ever fallen into a fountain?
No.
No. I have
Okay,
not.
nobody present on the podcast
No.
has actually done it. Well,
Then there was falling up the stairs.
That's
yeah, but
impressive.
I've done that too. I didn't realize it was so common. I kind of figured I was the only person ever to have done that, but I guess you can fall up the stairs.
Just like a trick of the enemy, making you feel like that you're the only one.
yeah. Okay.
Way to bring it back around, Greg.
Yeah, I don't know that worked, but okay.
Thought I was there. Thought
We'll go with that. Yeah. Yeah, it was a fun day. Enjoyed it. We always had fun. And I think that's a good thing to say for church. It should be.
Yeah.
Not just fun, but I enjoy hanging out with the folks and just being in God's presence and seeing what He does.
It was good.
Hearing testimonies, too, is so good. So many people came up to me yesterday. Several people came up to me just talking about what God's been doing in their lives lately. It's just amazing. Amazing. So we have fun. If you're not with us on the weekend and can, come on and join us, jump in. Several people yesterday came up to me and said, I watched online and loved it so much I wanted to come in person. So that was cool. That was a number of people yesterday that I never met.
Yeah.
So it's really, really fun.
So if you're watching us online only and you're able to, come on.
Yeah, come on.
We'd love to
Come
meet
on.
you in person. Make sure you stop by the first-time guest booth out there, and man, we'll get some of our volunteers and staff will be out there to meet you as well. Be a good time.
Yep.
All right. So week 2 of the fall,
Yep.
and last week had spent some time talking about Satan's fall, and this time you took us to Genesis 2 and Genesis 3 and began to look at old Adam and Eve. And what do we say? What do we say, Matt?
I can't say that, I don't think.
Oh, Adam and Eve, messing things up for everybody.
Ruined it for all of us, didn't
Ruined
they?
it.
So, yeah. So, anyways, I mean, great. I think kind of goes without saying, but we'll say it anyways, man. Great job breaking that down for us and really taking us to how our enemy, how Satan kind of slides in there and tries to deceive us and tries to trick us and turn and twist things around what God says and how He doesn't speak truth. So, man, really powerful job. And yeah, I think, man, there were. I think in the last service, 4 or 5 people said yes to Christ in that last service there. So, man, what a great day it was as people are beginning to recognize the tricks of the enemy.
Yeah. Genesis 3 opens up talking about the serpent, who we discussed a little bit, Satan, the satanic influence there and the words of Satan coming through the serpent. But it says the serpent was more cunning than any beast of the field. And that word means crafty. It's not really a positive thing. The Scripture does not portray that positively, in my opinion, from the language. Cunning means kind of a plotting, sly, crafty beast who thinks of ways to further their own agenda, that type of thing. So it really is, this message really helped me to see just how crafty our enemy is and how sly he is. Now, we've already said, and we're not backing away from the fact that he's defeated. He's under our feet. He's behind us. He's nothing to be feared. But I do think we need to keep an awareness of how sly he is. He does not just come to you and announce, I'm here to wreck your life. I'm Satan, and I'm going to turn you into an addict. It all starts with fun, the promise of it anyway, fun. Fulfillment, all that type of thing. So I think it's important that we recognize he is a fallen being. He is a created being. He's also a very crafty being.
Yeah.
And
I
if
love
we
how
were-
you...
Go ahead.
No, yeah, I love how you, when pointing that out, then you point out the words that God spoke to Adam and Eve about the trees and the tree, and then how he was crafty with that, how Satan comes in and he uses what God said, but he adds just a little bit to it. And it's like he got that in their head and put that seed of doubt of, oh yeah, why did he say that, when it's not even what he said in the first place.
Yeah. Have you ever had ever had anyone around, and there are people who do this, and I think they're operating in a certain spirit, but they kind of cast doubt in your mind about other people. You know, they'll kind of come in and say things about other people, and often they say it without saying it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I think a straight up person just says what they mean and means what they say. But there are people who will come in and talk to you with innuendos about other people, and they'll cast doubt on other people without playing their hand, without endangering themselves. And they're dangerous, manipulative people, you know, because they're operating under that same cunning spirit. Anytime somebody comes to do that to me, I try to just toss that out. You know, people who come saying, "Now, watch out for this guy, this and that and the other." If I get a sense that that spirit is there, I kind of just put that over on the shelf. And I try to take people, I try to judge people based on how they actually treat me and my own interaction with them. I don't let myself be poisoned against a person by the accusations of others. And that's critical. And I think that's exactly what the enemy was trying to do here, was to poison God in the minds of Adam and Eve, saying he really doesn't have your best interests at heart. You know, he's actually keeping something good from you.
You know, and that was certainly true in this scenario. But man, we see that play out in our lives as well. You know, something doesn't quite go according to plan. Something doesn't work out the way that we think that it's supposed to. The job doesn't go the way that it's supposed to. Family doesn't go the way it's supposed to. And immediately that little doubt tries to creep into your mind. You know, if God loves you so much, why is He allowing these things to happen? You know, if God really cared about you, He would be stepping in. And I think we've all experienced those voices that pop up, just saying those same things. You can doubt God on this. Doubt that God has your best interest at heart. Doubt that God knows what He's doing in your life.
You know how we combat that? And I'm learning this. I'm really in process on this one. I'm learning to be grateful for what God has done in my life up to this point. It's easy to do this, and I do it, and I bet a bunch of our listeners do it, bet y'all do it. It's easy to get a blessing from God and say, "Thank you, Lord," and then put that blessing over here on a shelf somewhere and forget about how God was so good to us and given us all this.
Yep.
And then when we face another challenge, we don't have anything to meet it with. You know, what we ought to meet it with is with the grateful spirit that we should have from what He did yesterday.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But it's so easy for me to leave, and there's a certain part of the past you want to leave in yesterday. There's a certain part of the past you want to carry with you into your future, and that's what gratefulness does. That's what Thanksgiving does, which we're entering into that season. For instance, let's say my wife and I moved into a new home in May of this year, and we're really excited about it and really happy with it, and we love our house, and it was just a wonderful gift from God. God blessed us with this home and put us there, right? Let's say I've got something I need to do in that home, and there's some work I need to do, and it's a great home, but there's just some upgrades or some landscaping, some things we're trying to do and everything. And I was just thinking the other day, God, why do I have to do this now? Why do I have to do that? And it's like I was in the kitchen this morning and God spoke to my heart and said, why don't you just thank me this morning for what I've blessed you with?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's one of the key ways I think that we combat the enemy's accusations of God to our minds, is to continually be grateful for what He's done for us. You know?
Yeah. It's funny because it's one of those things that God has really been convicting me of the last couple of weeks, maybe longer than that. But we're in this stage of like, we have this opportunity that looks like, hey, we might be able to get some land, and it's actually, another kind of home situation, and it's like,
Right.
and it's not just falling into place,
Yeah.
And I found myself going, God, where are you at? What are you doing? Like, why isn't this happening? And same thing, it's like, look around though. Like, you have your family, you have the house you're in now, you've got incredible job. There's all these things. It's like you said Sunday. He has said yes so many times already. There's just this one no that you're so fixated on.
Yeah.
It's
And it turns into pride and narcissism almost. And it's like, for me, I'm not putting that on you, but it turns into
no, I heard you.
Yep, there it is. Matt, stop it. The narcissist.
No, it just turns into me being very self-focused rather than being grateful for what the Lord has done in my life. You know, I'm in a place now in my life that I dreamed of being 20 years ago, you know. But it's so easy for me to just forget all that God has done. And then Satan comes and says, well, you've done this and God hasn't provided this or that. God's been so good to me. If God never did another thing for me until I died,
Right.
He's way ahead, I'll promise you. Of course, He will for all of us.
One of the things that I found recently, and kind of going along in the same idea, is that I've been writing down the things that I'm thankful for and the blessings that I remember about God. And I used to do this several years ago, and I'd gotten out of the habit. I had gotten away from it, and so I picked up my journal and was going to start doing this thing again. And I looked back over where I had done this a couple of years ago, and there were so many things that I had forgotten that God had done, that God had helped me with, that God had blessed me with, that I had put it on that shelf and forgotten about. But if I hadn't have written it down and been able to go back and read it, I don't know that I would have ever remembered it. So maybe, I know it's been helpful for me, maybe it will be for you guys out there as well. Man, start writing these blessings down. Start writing this stuff down that God's done for you so that you'll be able to remember and look back.
That's good.
I think when you're doing that, we talked yesterday, and Matt mentioned it, how there are 1,000 yeses for every no in God. You know, who knows how many trees there were. You know, He said you can eat of all these trees, just stay away from this one.
Right.
So who knows how many trees, maybe 10,000 yeses for one no. It is so easy, Matt said it, to get fixated on the one no that I'm facing right now, the one sticky point, and forget all there. And that's essentially, I think, what Adam and Eve did.
Right.
They forgot all the fruit that was there. I would just love to see all the fruit that was around them that they could have enjoyed. It's just unbelievable. You know, in the New Jerusalem, you know, in our eternal home, there's the tree that bears 12 manner of fruit. And a lot of Bible scholars call it jokingly the Fruit of the Month Club, God's fruit of the month, because it's almost like it's going to bear a different beautiful fruit every month. I got to believe there were some trees like that in the Garden of Eden. I got to believe that there were trees that had the most delicious fruit. There were, for sure, beyond anything we could imagine. But they allowed themselves to be fixated on the one thing they felt like they couldn't have.
And then I think you pointed it out in all the services, but it's that moment when the serpent speaks. It's that first question mark in the Bible, is what you said. And
Yeah.
it's not one of those things I've ever thought about it, but he came in and he just questioned that one thing.
Yeah.
And that one question led to all the other questions that ran through their head.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a slippery slope.
And the problem comes into play is, what does Eve do with that question right there, right? So, you had given us a couple of things that we should say. Like, there's only two things that you should say to the enemy, and she didn't say either one of those. She kind of engaged in this conversation, which sent everything kind of spiraling down. But she was willing to engage in this back and forth there instead of taking her place and her authority that she had in that moment as well. And so I think that we're going to get these questions and these doubts that'll pop up from time to time, but what are we going to do with that voice when that doubt begins to pop into play? How are we going to respond to it? Because that'll determine our course of action at that point.
Yeah. Don't we all wish Eve had said, "Get behind me," or "It is written"? Of course, it wasn't written at that point.
No.
She couldn't have said that.
She should have done your stomping exercise, though.
She was walking with God in the garden, though.
But they had just heard what God said. The only thing Eve had to do was remember what God said,
Yeah.
and give that right back at Satan and tell him, "This is what God said. I'm done talking."
Yep.
And if I could say that more, this is what God said.
Wow.
I'm done talking about this.
Wow.
I'm done reasoning about this. This is what God said. This is what I'm living in. So get on behind me, and I'm going to get on with my life.
It's good.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
I guess that means this is the end.
This is the end.
No, it's been a good time.
I was thinking about what to say next.
Well, that's
I didn't
it.
have anything.
That's it. Thank y'all, and we'll see you next time.